Hey everyone, thank you for being here. It's truly important to see each of you following along. If you could take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button, you'll never miss our videos and updates. Ready? Let's dive in. Sometimes we look at an NBA season as if it's predictable, a race where the best teams shake out, where the path seems set before the game even starts. But what happens when the unexpected takes over? We're talking about injuries and the ups and downs that no one saw coming, which suddenly change everything. Now just imagine the Golden State Warriors, a team that not only carries titles and talent, but also the expectations of thousands. Then, week by week, the foundation starts to shake. Steph Curry, the giant of Oakland, the face of this team, gets injured. Andrew Wiggins, who should be the second in command, also goes down. And then, De'Anthony Melton, Buddy Hield, guys who came in to add firepower, also get caught up in minor injuries and inconsistencies. So, what's left? The fans have always been there, loyal, believing in the Warriors' high potential. But is that enough? The truth is, this team has never had so much to prove, even with their history, even with their strong core. Now, without the stars on the court, the question is there depth enough to hold everything together? Can they maintain the energy of past seasons, or will they get swallowed by their own glorious history? When we talk about Steph, there's always that assurance. He's there. He knows what to do. The resonance is back, but it's still not a certainty for the season. Without Steph, everything gets much heavier. More than that, it's time to be realistic. How much can we trust that the depth on the bench will sustain the team? With each passing season, the Warriors have tried to strengthen their base with players who could bring new energy, new skills. Buddy Hield came with that promise, while Kuminga shows potential. But amidst all this promise, there's that nagging detail. What's missing for this to truly connect? What's lacking for the Warriors to return to being the giants they once were? The truth is, there's something curious about this team. As capable as its players are of putting on a show, there's a lack of fire. That assurance that everyone is ready to step up when it counts. It's a strange feeling to see Golden State so close to glory, slipping away with every injury, every game that gets complicated in the final quarter. And we find ourselves wondering, who's going to step up and truly hold the team together? The defense, which has always been the Warriors' great weapon, now seems a bit weakened. Players like De'Anthony Melton show commendable effort, but is that effort enough? Or are we talking about a stamina that runs out just when the score tightens? That's the big question. In a team that has always had answers for everything, the silence is almost deafening. And then, when we look at the teams around them, it's hard to ignore the comparisons. The Lakers, the Suns, the Nuggets, each of these rivals seems to be on the rise with solid, stable offensive options. They have that famous Plan B for when the star player is out. But what about the Warriors? Where's the answer when Curry isn't there? When Wiggins doesn't show up, the doubts only grow. Golden State has always been that team that finds a way to overcome limitations. But will the fans' patience be enough? Is it just a matter of time? Or are we facing a deeper change? Deep down, there's a sense that the Warriors have a more secure foundation than last year, yes, with players willing to run the court, defending as if every possession is their last. But for that to last, they need more than good defenders. They need consistency. Without it, they could sink under their own speed, always in motion but without direction. These Warriors we see now are far from predictable. It's almost as if they've adopted a philosophy of resilience, like an underestimated team seeking to prove their worth again and again, no matter how much they've been exalted in the past. And when the main stars are absent, the true challenge emerges. How much can they rely on new talents and reserves to keep the team afloat and relevant? But it's not just about winning games. For them, it's more about a battle for identity. In the current landscape, with so many other teams evolving each season, the Warriors desperately need to find the formula that will make them stand out. It's as if the pieces are there, but the connection, that almost mystical fit we saw in past seasons, hasn't yet solidified. There's a lack of synergy, that almost automatic understanding between players that defined Golden State as the perfect machine years ago. What's missing? That's the question that hangs in the air with each game. Because although De'Anthony Melton and Jonathan Kuminga have their moments of brilliance, there's still that void when Curry isn't around. The team may seem competent, yes, but it also feels like they're fighting against their own legacy. Each failure, each missed shot, only heightens the pressure for them to become more than just a shadow of what they once were. It's clear that there's a genuine desire within the team, a noticeable willingness to win. But desire isn't everything, and that's where more technical issues come into play. The defense, for example, which has always been the heart of the Warriors, seems to struggle against teams that know how to exploit gaps. Without consistent defense, they have to compensate on offense, and therein lies the true challenge. Without the offensive talent the absent stars provide, it's tough to maintain the same rhythm that secured so many victories in the past. So, how to resolve this? Many talk about potential trades, bringing in someone who can alleviate the burden. But the truth is, that can also be risky. Any trade means altering a structure that has been tested and proven over many years. Is the team ready to sacrifice a piece of its identity for someone who might help in the short term? This kind of decision is never easy. We're talking about a team with history, where every player feels part of something greater. The possibility of breaking that cohesion, even to strengthen it, is a double-edged sword. Then comes the next point, the role of leadership. It's undeniable that Curry has been the soul of this team. His presence on the court represents security for the others, a kind of invisible force that guides all movements. Now, without him, that responsibility spreads among the other players, and it doesn't seem like everyone is ready to shoulder that weight. Andrew Wiggins, for instance, who should step into that role, is facing his own challenges. He has the potential, but consistency is still lacking. This raises the question, is there an emerging leader in Golden State, someone who can keep the team cohesive and motivated while Curry recovers? On top of that, there's the emotional aspect. The Warriors currently have a group of players with distinct personalities and styles. Kuminga, for example, plays explosively, while Wiggins is more reserved, almost introspective. Each brings their own vision of how the game should be played, which can be both a strength and a weakness. The problem arises when individualities start to compete instead of complementing one another. This delicate balance between the individual and the collective could be the key to the success or failure of the Warriors this season. The issue of physical confrontations also emerges as a significant problem. Teams with a more physical game, featuring dominant big men, have troubled the Warriors. Without a strong center to match up against them, the team becomes vulnerable on defense, particularly in the paint. Zubac from the Clippers recently exposed these weaknesses, and the Warriors felt the impact. Without a strong presence to impose themselves physically, the difficulties of containing opponents in the paint only increase. This leads to doubts about a potential trade. To what extent is it beneficial to bring in a dominant center, who may not fit the Warriors' fast-paced style? The issue is that the physical resilience of the current players seems insufficient against teams like the Lakers or Nuggets, who exploit these gaps mercilessly. This physical fragility cannot be ignored, and if it isn't addressed, it could be the decisive weak point when the playoffs arrive. Looking at the rest of the Western Conference, the landscape is not favorable. Teams like the Suns and Mavericks are advancing rapidly. If the Golden State once viewed these rivals with confidence, the narrative has shifted. Phoenix, with Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, has emerged as an undeniable powerhouse, with options on both offense and defense. Meanwhile, Dallas, with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, offers an explosive offense ready to challenge any team. This places the Warriors in an uncomfortable position, where they not only need to survive but also reinvent themselves to keep pace with their competition. And this is where the psychological factor comes into play. The weight of so many expectations, from a fan base that always hopes for the best, can have a devastating effect on the team. A loss here, another there, and morale starts to plummet. We've seen this happen with other teams. A string of losses begins small but grows like a snowball until it suffocates. For the Warriors, this is a crucial moment to prove they still possess that winning mentality, the same strength that took them to the top. For fans who have followed this team for so long, it's a roller coaster of emotions. Each victory signals that the team can overcome difficulties, while each defeat raises the fear that their glory days are fading. There's a deep desire to see this team shine again, to witness Curry lead, to see Wiggins and Thompson find the perfect balance on the court. Yet at the same time, there's an awareness that none of this is guaranteed. Perhaps this uncertainty is what keeps everyone so engaged, so on the edge of their seats, waiting for the next move. What intrigues most is the paradox of a team that, while seeming fragile, shows resilience in every game. The pieces are there. Each player has something to offer, but the sum still seems lacking. This raises a final question. Will the Warriors find that specific player, that final adjustment, or does everything depend on a shift in mentality within the group itself? The coming weeks will be decisive. With Curry back, the team may begin to align once more, but there are no guarantees. Injuries will always pose a threat, and the challenge of competing against increasingly prepared opponents will continue to exist. For the Warriors now, it's all or nothing. The doubt lingers as time ticks away. When Curry returns, expectations are high that he will bring an injection of energy and direction, something that has been lacking amid the team's recent ups and downs. His vision and quick reading of the game are unparalleled, and that could provide the necessary turning point. More than that, Curry's presence represents a spirit, a quiet rebirth of confidence, not only for the fans but for the team itself. He is the kind of leader who, upon stepping onto the court, automatically organizes the chaos around him. Will it be enough to put the Warriors back on top? There's a sense that everything could change quickly. A winning streak could restore not only confidence but the stability the team urgently needs. It's a risk, yes, but also an opportunity to prove the resilience of the structure the Warriors have always prided themselves on maintaining. Curry's return will rebalance the team, but the true test will be seeing who seizes the chance to shine alongside him. Buddy Hield, with his undeniable finishing talent, is another key player to watch. If he can maintain consistency in his shooting, he could be an essential piece to alleviate some of the pressure Curry faces on offense. The opportunity to play with the freedom that Curry provides has the potential to transform players. Many forget that this intangible factor, the ability to elevate teammates' performances, is what separates great players from legends. But the Warriors cannot rely solely on one or two stars to carry the entire team. Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, and DeAnthony Melton need to become more than just promising names. They must become reliable references. They need to show that they can be trusted, that they have a presence that is felt on both offense and defense. Wiggins, in particular, must prove that he can lead in the absences, that he is more than a promise and can be the second pillar alongside Curry. For the coaching staff, the challenge is to maximize each player's potential. Steve Kerr knows team play like no one else, and that's exactly what the Warriors need right now. Not brilliant individual performances, but a synergy that keeps everyone aligned toward the same goal. This is the tactic that can overcome fatigue, the weight of injuries, and the natural difficulties of a season that has already begun tumultuously. With Curry's return, all cards are back on the table, and there's still time, but not much. Each remaining game is an opportunity to correct mistakes, to explore strategies, and to align the rhythm that may finally lead them back to the stage everyone expects. Curry's return must be more than a relief. It needs to be the spark that ignites a new phase for the Warriors, one where the mistakes of the past do not repeat themselves. The fans, for their part, remain loyal. They are there to support, to believe, but they are also anxious for answers and action. They know the value of each player on the court, and more than ever, they hope this team will repay their support with a season filled with grit, effort, and victories. This unwavering support could give the Warriors the strength to overcome moments of doubt and difficulty. The energy of thousands resonates with every game, reminding the team that, despite the shortcomings, they still have a foundation that believes in their success. So the question remains, is this team ready to embrace the challenge? Will they be able to navigate the highs and lows, to overcome the uncertainty that arises with each round, and to prove that they can still be the Warriors that the world loves to watch? Now everything depends on how they respond to this final call. It's the last warning. The season doesn't wait. Time doesn't stop. Soon we will know if the Warriors are capable of stepping up and reinventing themselves as the powerhouse everyone wants to see return.